Good day, class. I'm recording this video because I went ahead and originally made one that was extensive, me doing step by step, but then I found out that the sound did not come out well. So I'm going to now make sure I do thorough checks as far as making sure everything's connected. But I want to go ahead and go through the composition on functions. And first of all, it's going to be critical for you to memorize this bottom two parts of it, which deals with explaining how f, or the fog of x, is really f of g of x, and the g of x is really g of f of x. Now, there is something important I want to make sure you keep in mind, that when you do the domain of these, the domain of f of x, of g of x, and your new equation need to be all part of your new domain when you write your new equation. Which means that if I give them numerical values, supposing that I give them this 1, this 2, and this 3, my domain will be x such that x cannot be whatever I found out in 1, 2, and 3. So all three will be present. Now, with each one of these, I think you're going to get the best benefit. While this slide talks about how necessarily one does not equal the other, so order does matter, so be careful. And this one talks about how we're really doing a substitution. Similar to the fact how we would normally substitute a value, we would see this. We substitute whatever 8 is, wherever the x is. Since now we're dealing with the g of x, which is the one I circled, we're going to be substituting that equation into that location. So with that in mind, I think the best thing for you to go ahead and get the best practice is go ahead and write this down, pause the video, and see if you could try to do the f of g of x. And then I'll show you the answer. Great, now that you've unpaused the video, I'm going to show you what you should have came up with, if not explain what is it that you're having trouble with. Let's see, I think it's that one. Oh yeah, it is that one. Here we go. Let's go with the first one. Okay. Now the first thing you had to do with this one, f of g of x, is you have to define domains. So you see where it says d is equal to r, and I'll use highlighter as I go, so you can follow along with what I'm referring to on bottom of this part right here. So if y'all notice, first thing I have to define that. Now it's all real numbers because the numerator is 1. There's no way that could happen. Now with this one over here, there's a situation that this could occur. If I highlight that, actually that doesn't look so good. And this is what, so your domain in this one is going to be x, where it's all real numbers, but it cannot equal 4. Now, the fog of x, or f of g of x, really means that this is what it's equal to. And now let's go ahead and talk about what needed to be done. You substitute. So the first step was in this part right here. Let me highlight it. It was in this f of g of x meant that originally I just wrote this part right here. So you see this highlighted part? That was my original part that I highlighted. And that was really the substitution where it occurred. And then from there I had to get a common denominator. So in order to do that, I did this part that I'm highlighting in green, and went ahead and did a common denominator. I went ahead and distributed, and from the distribution, I ended up getting something where I could now get a common denominator. And then from there, I went ahead and just wrote down a simplified version, which is 4x minus 7, x minus 4. My domain, this being my answer, ended up still being x just not equal to 4, which was in my new equation and one of my previous equations, so that was pretty easy to do. Now let's go ahead and do the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back for y'all. And if you're going to do this one, go ahead and now practice these, and then I'll go ahead and kind of show you what you should have gone in for the g of x in this one. So go ahead and do that practice, pause the video, see if you can do it yourself. Great, now that you're back with me, this is what you all should end up with. You should be able to do this. And again, I'll follow me with the highlight. First of all, domains need to be defined. Now, domains will probably have the same ones as before, so that was not so important. Notation did change up. To the g of f of x, that is one of the notation changes. And with this one, I went ahead and showed in red that this equation that you see in gray will be substituted in that location there. And that's what did occur. I went ahead and did it, the substitution, and then found out that these right here could be subtracted. And then I ended up with this part right here, 3 over 3 divided by x. And that simplifies to just 1 over x. My domain ended up being 4 plus the 0, that got generated with the new equation. 4 came from the original one. Okay, lovely. Let's go ahead and go over to the next one. And with the next one, I want you to go ahead and now try this one out and see what you come up with. Go ahead and pause the video, write these down, and then you try. Okay, great. Now that you're back with me, let me go ahead and show you what you should have came up with. You should have came up with this. And where, since we're doing the g of x, we're going to take this equation and substitute it right here where you see that x. And that's what I did. I went ahead and did 1, and I'll do it in highlighter form, x minus 3, just that part right here. Actually, maybe that might work better just like this. But this is what happened. I had to get a common denominator. So in order for me to get a common denominator, I went ahead and did this part of it here, there, and there. And then from there, one of the biggest things I wanted to explain with this part is the idea that you have to reciprocate. So if you have a numerator with a fraction as a denominator, the denominator will reciprocate as you see there. When we have 5 over 1, numerator stays the same. Same is going to occur here after I get my, not the total solution, but most of my solution. Now, after I get the same common denominator, I did distribute up on top. So I ended up with this here. And what ended up occurring is I ended up getting this and this common like terms, so I put those together. So I ended up getting this right here as an equation. If I just show a circle. From there, I came right over here and did the reciprocal. Now the reciprocal just looked like this part right here, the one I'm highlighting, without all the other stuff. And the reason being is that this reciprocal reciprocated, I multiplied by 1, which meant that I doubt that I got this as an answer. And all I had to do was find my domain, which included my first 2 restrictions, which was 3 and -2, and added a new one, -1. And from there, that was my answer. On this side over here, I just did prove algebraically how to get your restriction as far as everything else. So that's what those notes over there are about. And let's go ahead and move on to the next part of this, which I wanted you to do, which is, this one. I want you to try this one out, fog of this. So go ahead and pause the video, retry it, and see if you're able to do this. Okay, now this is what you should end up getting. With this one, you had to first list the domains. And the domains for this one was x is everything greater than or equal to -3 because it cannot be imaginary, the square roots of it. This one was domain, was all real numbers. But then after that, I went ahead and the f of g dictates that the g of x is going to be substituted in this x value that's here. Now, I went ahead and did the square root, and then x squared minus 3, which is this part right here. But then after that, I found out that these right here could cancel. And it ended up with this right over here. X was square root of x squared. And found out that this equals really this, which equals, simplifies to just x. The square root and the square cancel each other out, or more in a sense, become 1. So this leaves me with x. So I just need to carry my original domain restriction, which means that x is greater than or less or equal to -3. Great. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. You're going to go ahead and try this one on your own. This one's f of x, and see if you're able to do it. Then I'll go through the solution with you. Okay, great. Now that you're back with me, let's go ahead and go through the solution of this one. Okay. What are we doing here? Now this one, same thing. We started with defining the domain there, and this one over here. Now with this one, the one on the right, the g of x, okay, was not important for us because we're doing f of x, so we're not going to take that into consideration. But the important thing you want to do is make sure that you know that this is notation. And I found out that once you do that, I get to the step right here. This step, I do with an arrow, and when I do substitute, I realize I have to distribute. So from there, I end up with 9x plus 12 plus 4, and the 12 and the 4 can add together. So since they could add together, I end up this as an answer. 9x plus 16, and where domain is all real numbers. That one was pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and have you try the next one. So let's go ahead and show you this, and have you try this one. the g of x of this. Go ahead and pause the video and try it. And then now, okay. Now that you came back on, let's see the solutions. So the solution should have, this should essentially look like on this one. You would have used, I went ahead and redid my original domain on this one, which was this part. And then did the g of x on this one, which means that I went ahead and did 3 and then substitute in here. So really originally, I wrote this down, I only had this part of it here, the one I circled right now. But then I realized that I needed to get a common denominator. All these 3 highlighted parts are going to be the same, so then I'd be able to do something similar to what I did before, which is take the reciprocal and simplify this even further. So I got the common denominator and found out that I needed to distribute. So from there, scroll down, there's some wanted material here. Is that, I think. But this is what I'm beginning. Again, 3 over 3 minus 4x plus 16. I circled, I'm going to highlight those parts. I circled this and this because I wanted to say those are like terms. You have to put that together, and you actually end up with this idea here. 3 minus 4x plus 19 divided by 4x. Now this is where it's important. This right here reciprocates to this right here. And then from there, you're able to distribute to simplify even further. So you end up with this answer right here. Domain was going to be 4, but then also this part right here, 19 by 4, is found out by doing this combination right here. When you do a 2-step equation, find out that x cannot also be equal to 19 over 4. Lovely. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. Now let's see if you're able to do this one that was here, which calls for you to find the fog of g of 8. And try it. Let me show you and pause the video. So now that you're back with me, I'm going to show you what is it that you should have done. You should have done this. You should have found out what the value, because see, this is this part of it right here. And I didn't really write that out. It's important for me to write down. This is really f of g of 8. That's really what it is. So if that's the case, I'm really after this part in here, because that could give me a value, a specific value. And I have it written right over here, where I first start g of 8, which is equal to 2 times 8, because I take the g of x equation, and find out that my answer is 16. So if that's the case, then that really means that I have f of 16. And if I substitute that into my f of x value, square root of 16 is 4, and there's my answer. Domain is all real values. Okay, great. Alright, I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, feel free always to send me an email or come visit me. Thank you.